Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a mystery, a Cold War mystery. The death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, India's second prime minister.
1966, Tashkent. Just hours after signing a peace treaty with Pakistan.
The Tashkent Declaration.
Yeah, and a lot of unanswered questions even now.
No formal post-mortem, right? And all these conspiracy theories floating around.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
So we're going to try to put some of those pieces together. We got Anuj Dar's book, Your Prime Minister is Dead. Lots of material on the politics of the time.
And even first-hand accounts from people who were there in Tashkent.
Wow. Okay, so what's our goal here? What are we hoping to uncover with this deep dive?
We're going to focus on the evidence, or lack of it, that points towards foul play.
Okay, so let's start by setting the scene.
January 1966. Cold War tensions are high. India and Pakistan, they've just finished a war. And the Soviet Union, they step in to mediate.
And that leads to the Tashkent Declaration.
Exactly. A peace agreement.
Yeah.
But, and here's the thing, it seemed to favor Pakistan.
Really? Why would the Soviets, I mean, they were allies with India. Why would they side with Pakistan?
Good question. You have to remember the U.S. was getting closer to Pakistan at the time.
Right, right.
Even had this alleged secret air base in Peshawar, U-2 spy planes, all that.
Targeting the Soviets,
So
yeah.
maybe the Soviets wanted to kind of pull Pakistan back into their sphere of influence.
So they put the pressure on India, on Shastri, to make concessions. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
And Shastri, he was under a lot of pressure to give back territory captured during the war.
Like Hajipur Pass, I've read about that.
That's
strategically important.
Very much so. And journalist Prem Shankar Jha, he was in Tashkent at the time, and he said Shastri's stance shifted in the final hours.
A shift? What do you mean?
Almost like he suddenly changed his mind about the agreement.
Huh. Almost like something happened.
It does make you wonder, was there undue influence? Coercion?
Okay, we've got Cold War intrigue, a peace treaty that looks kind of shady, and then Shastri dies.
Yeah, a few hours after signing the declaration.
And that's when the mystery really kicks in.
And the death itself, well, it's all very strange. No post-mortem, no autopsy.
You'd think that would be like the first thing you do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the prime minister dies suddenly.
Exactly. And that's not the only thing that's weird. Lots of inconsistencies, missing evidence. The whole thing is just bizarre.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
The medical reports. One says they injected him with calcium chloride.
Before he died.
Yeah. But then the English translation, that one says potassium chloride.
Wait, isn't that like a big difference?
It could be. I mean, calcium chloride, that's for emergencies, right?
Right.
Potassium chloride, well, that can be used for, lethal injections.
Oh, okay, so what are they saying?
Just a translation error.
A translation error? I don't know.
And then there's Shastri's wife, Lalita Shastri. She saw the body.
What did she say?
She said it was discolored, bloated, cuts on the body.
Cuts.
And blood stains on his clothes. And then, get this, they cover the body with sandalwood paste before they fly it back to India.
Sandalwood paste? Why?
I mean, it makes you wonder, right? Are they hiding something?
Yeah, it does.
And then there's stuff that's just gone missing. Shastri's diary. Poof. Vanished.
His diary. He kept a diary.
Yeah, and the flask he drank from? Gone.
Okay, now this is starting to sound like, I don't know, a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
A missing diary, maybe lethal injection, a body covered in sandalwood. It's like something out of a spy movie.
It's a lot to take in, yeah. And then you've got Shastri's family, his son, Hari Shastri. He always said there was something fishy about his father's death.
He said it wasn't natural causes.
Right, and he claims he was basically told to shut up about it.
By who?
Government officials.
So we've got inconsistencies and missing evidence, and now a possible cover-up.
And the government, they refused to release the files. National security, they say.
Anuj Dar, the journalist, he tried to get the files right. RTI requests.
Denied every time.
What about internal politics? Was there anyone in the Congress Party who might have wanted Shastri out of the picture?
Possibly. You got to remember, he rose to power pretty quickly. The war, 1965, that was Shastri. He was a decisive leader.
Maybe some people saw him as a threat.
Could be. So we've got international pressure, maybe some rivals within his own party. Who knows? Maybe even a foreign intelligence agency was involved.
This is getting complicated.
Oh, and don't forget, Shastri's doctor and his assistant.
The ones who went to Tashkent with him?
They died too, back in Delhi, shortly after they got back. And those deaths, well, let's just say they're mysterious too.
I don't even know what to say. It sounds like they were trying to silence anyone who knew it really happened.
And this is where the Cold War gets really interesting. You familiar with the Mitrokhin archives?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
KGB documents smuggled out of Russia. They reveal a lot about what the Soviets were doing in India back then.
Like,
They were manipulating things big time.
Okay.
They funneled money to the Congress Party, planted agents, spread propaganda. They wanted to control Indian politics.
so the KGB was basically running the show.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
But are we saying they were involved in Shastri's death?
There's no direct proof, but the Mitrokin archives, they do make you think. Because they reveal that the KGB was recruiting Indian diplomats in Moscow different ways. Sometimes they used honey traps.
Honey traps. What's that?
Basically, seduce someone, get compromising photos, and then blackmail them. Classic spy stuff.
Wow. Okay, so they were blackmailing Indian diplomats.
Some of them, yeah. And one of the diplomats they got, his code name was Proko-Or.
Do we know who that was?
Not for sure, but some people think it might have been T.N. Call. He was the Indian ambassador to the Soviet Union at the time.
Cole, wasn't he pretty close to the Soviets?
He was. So it makes you wonder, right? Could he have been the one to pressure Shastri into signing the Tashkent Declaration?
Wow. I mean, if the KGB had that kind of leverage, who knows what they were capable of? So let's recap. We've got potential motives, evidence that doesn't add up, and a cover-up. It all points to something more than just a natural death, right?
It does, doesn't it? And it makes you wonder, was Shastri a victim of the Cold War? Or was it something else? Internal power struggles, maybe.
And what about the Indian government? Are they hiding something? Or are they just trying to protect national security?
I guess that's the million-dollar question.
It's crazy, right? I mean, a prime minister dies, and we still don't know what happened.
It really makes you think about, like, the nature of power, especially during the Cold War. All those secrets, the spy games.
Like we were talking about those medical reports before. Calcium chloride, potassium chloride. Maybe that wasn't a mistake. Maybe someone wanted to make things confusing.
Could be. And the diary, the flask. If it was all innocent, why would those things disappear?
Exactly. And why won't the government release the files? If they have nothing to hide, why all the secrecy?
It's like they're trying to protect something. Or someone.
I mean, maybe the truth is just too explosive. Maybe it would ruin reputations, expose secrets about the Congress Party.
You have to remember, there were a lot of factions within the Congress Party back then. Maybe Shastri made some enemies.
So what you're saying is Shastri's death might not have been an accident. It could have been like an inside job.
It's a possibility. And without a proper investigation, I guess we'll never know for sure.
This whole thing is just, it's disturbing. The idea that a prime minister could be killed and the truth could just be swept under the rug.
It's a reminder that even in a democracy, things aren't always what they seem.
I guess the lesson here is you can't always trust the official story. You got to think for yourself, question things.
Absolutely, and demand answers.
So I guess that's it for our deep dive into the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, a Cold War mystery that remains unsolved.
A mystery with a lot of loose ends.
Who knows? Maybe one day those classified files will be opened and we'll finally learn the truth. But until then, we're left with more questions than answers.
And a story that continues to fascinate and intrigue. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.